you're looking to save money, then yeah, like rent the U-Haul, get your friends to do it. But like honestly, for just like a couple extra $100, you can have the guy come in with his own truck and his own people and do it properly. Get your job done within 4 hours or 5.
Hello everyone, welcome to Bamboo, Vancouver's property management and investment podcast. This week I have Jordan from Jordan's Pro Movers in with us. We're going to ask him a couple questions about how to make moving suck less. So this is going to definitely be the guy to talk to. It'll help you, it'll help your tenants, it'll help everybody. So without further ado, Jordan, welcome to Bamboo.
Thank you. Thanks. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to figure out a few questions, make it easier for both yourself and myself, because as a mover, you get to see it all. So
yeah, absolutely, right?
Mm-hmm.
So quick question, like how did you get into moving? Like people hate moving. You decided to do it full time.
Yeah. Full time. That is, I think my friend got into it like years ago, and they needed help with a guy, or a third guy, and they called me up, and I said, "Yeah, sure, I'll try it out." And then they just kind of kept calling me, and then we just kind of got to a point where I was just like, "Hey, like I should be doing this for myself, not for other guys." So.
No, that makes sense. I mean, especially like, do you just have the one truck now? Do you have two trucks?
Mm-hmm. So the way I do it is I use a lot of different owner operators.
Okay.
So like right now I have 2 1-tons that I have immediate access to. Okay. I have a 5-ton as well, but typically when I'm in like, especially Vancouver, like the downtown core, it's all small moves.
Yeah,
sometimes
you're taking a 5-ton running around.
Exactly, right? So that's kind of for logistics reasons. The 1-ton is perfect for that. But so normally what I'll do is if you call and try and schedule a move, I'll give one of my owner operators a call, see if the truck's available, and then I'll schedule it and guarantee that you have a truck for that day, because that is one of the most stressful things. Is
absolutely, I
making
have
sure.
So many tenants, and I tell them like as soon as they get their notice, like, oh, we're going to be moving out at the end of the month. I'm like, book your truck today. You sent me the letter. Book your truck now. They'll hold it for you. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It's just like, wow. Because I've seen some tenants that one of them had to go all the way to Abbotsford to get a vehicle to move in Vancouver because they were gone.
Everything's gone.
Everything was gone. It's like, that's a very real thing. So
I get a lot of calls like day of, just being like, my movers didn't show up, or this happened, or
that's also a common thing.
Yeah.
And that, because you don't really need higher education for moving. Some dude with a van was like, yeah, I'll take your money. Cool.
Yeah.
Let's go. Right. So I guess, can you share some of the most common challenges? I mean, we already touched on one, obviously, with the finding a truck, but what do they face when they're moving around, and how can they navigate those better? Some of the pitfalls, I guess, would be
I guess there's a lot of things that you can kind of look at. I guess right now, since we're on the 1-ton truck, we'll talk mainly about like 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom kind of places.
Yeah.
I do like all sorts of stuff, like houses, apartment, or office moves and stuff like that.
Okay.
But just for this, we'll talk mainly with like, especially the downtown. So one of the things, I'll bring up this first. I don't know why. There's no hierarchy on here, right? But I find like, especially in Vancouver, with some of the furniture that's happening, is when people move into their new place, they don't understand the size of the furniture. So a lot of times they'll like figure out like, oh, I'll put my couch here, I'll put my couch there, but they don't realize, can the couch fit in the elevator? Can it fit down the hallway or into, you have like these narrow corridors sometimes, right? So it's just it's better to plan those things ahead. Just make sure that you can actually, if you have something really long, can we make it smaller or not as wide or something like that, right?
Yeah, I guess you probably run into that a lot with people moving from a basement suite to an apartment, because obviously house is significantly larger than most apartments, especially new ones.
Yes. You have these micro apartments now, right?
Yeah. So, like, it's nuts. Well, I mean, even looking at the square footages now, you see something like 650 square foot 2-bedroom, and I'm like, that used to just be exclusively a 1-bedroom. So how are you doing this, right? They are shrinking.
Yes.
Very much so. So, I mean, so I guess measuring the size of all that. What about packing as well? Like, is there a certain way to do this? Most people, do it by room. Just, kitchen, done. Is there better tricks to do that? Maybe even for loading onto the vehicle? Like, is there a certain order that you should put things into the truck?
Yeah, no, this is great. I wanted to cover this as well, right? Because a lot of people, they don't understand how to move or how to pack a truck properly.
Yeah.
The first thing that we'll always do, and I'll always tell my clients this, is we're going to come in and we're going to take all of your boxes first.
Okay.
The reason why is we're going to build a wall at the very front of the truck. And, you know, and like, I just had a customer the other day. They were like, why don't you put the boxes on last, right? And the thing is, like, when you're moving your truck, things are going to shift. Mm-hmm. When you open up that thing, you don't want a ton of boxes falling on you. So that's one of the main reasons why we put them on first, right? And then we'll make a nice wall, and then we'll like start blocking that wall with like your mattress, some couches, your dressers, and we'll start building towards the thing that way, right? So the first thing that I'll always do is we're going to come in, we're going to grab all of your boxes, we're going to grab a lot of your bags, you know, so put those close to the front door. Or if you have multiple rooms, leave them easy access for it. Because if you block it, we're going to take time to move those things away to get to the boxes and stuff.
Yeah.
So that'll be the first thing we'll do is grab the boxes. Then we'll start grabbing your bigger furniture, your mattresses.
Okay.
I think the one thing that you should also know is when we're moving a moving truck, we're packing the truck as much as possible, right? We're not trying to have a living space in there. A lot of times the furniture will be upside down or on its side, right? So a lot of people
Circuit Tetris.
Yeah. So but like people will use their drawers to pack as like a box or whatever. And that's never a good idea, especially if you want to put your valuables or breakables. Don't put them in your drawers. That's the worst place because, you know, we're going to shift it around and might go upside down. Like end tables, we usually put them upside down on top of a dresser or something like that, right? Yeah. And like we'll wrap everything and pad it and make sure it's all good to go. But it's always make sure you have those things. Like, you know, a lot of you don't need to necessarily pull out your drawers because we're going to wrap it anyways, right? So, but like just keep them empty for us. And then after that, we'll do all of your big stuff, and then we'll go after your smaller things, your furniture, your patio furniture, bikes, you know, stuff like that. Those will all be on the end of the truck. That's the biggest thing is like leave clear pathways for us. Put your boxes close to the doors because they're going to be first. Yeah, and like. Sometimes you think you're helping the movers by putting things by the door for us. And sometimes it helps, but a lot of times it doesn't because we're packing the truck very specifically. Yeah. And we need certain things. So by doing that, it's just kind of...
You have to move it twice.
Yeah, and it's really annoying. You know, like if you want to help, like I always tell customers, you know, like this is the price. If you want to help, it's $20 more because now I got to train you how to move the truck. And, you know, like honestly, if you do want to help your movers, it's at the end of the move as we're emptying out the truck. That's the best time to help us out, you know, because we can give you those smaller things.
Of course, right?
You know, but like when we're packing the truck, it's very... Yeah, it's a little bit stressful sometimes. So
the whole lead follow get the
let us do the things that we need to do.
I got you, man. So it sounds kind of like a bit of a unique service to come in and sort of preload almost. Is this something that you guys do? You show up with your clients and explain what to do first, or
usually when you're booking with me, I'll do the process. I'll kind of moving's very, very stressful for a lot of people. Yeah. Understandably. For me, it's not so bad, except for when I moved myself. I moved myself a few years ago. Most stressful day I've ever had. I don't know why. Because like this is when it's your stuff. It stresses you out. But I'll always kind of like go through, like send you a walkthrough of what the day will look like.
Like a checklist type of thing.
Yeah, I'll give you an estimate too. Like, hey, this is how long it should take us to load the truck. This is how long we'll get from A to B, and then this is how long it will. You know, so you kind of have a rough idea of how long it should take, how long that'll. Or how much that will cost and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Well, I noticed also with your cost that you have a different price structure and that you charge differently. If you want to explain that to our viewers and listeners here, like, because this is kind of unique actually to your company, which is, I thought, very helpful for most people. I'm like, oh, that's pretty smart.
Right. So I'm guessing you're talking about like how I do I charge people, because what I'll do is I charge in 15-minute segments.
Yeah, which is good because a lot of it are just hour, and it's like if it's 5 minutes into it, you just paid for a whole hour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's
very helpful.
See, like, here's the thing that I always try and help customers understand is I'm not there to make an extra dollar off of you. Yeah. The way I want to make my money is that I want to move your friends, I want to move your family, I want to move your coworkers, right? And the best way that I can do that is by giving you the best service possible. Yeah. And so I'm not going to like purposely like slow down and push that clock into the next hour to make an extra hour, you know, because then like that's the job, you know, job ends there. I won't get a 5-star. I won't get a review. I won't get like those. 95% of my jobs are through recommendations right now.
Which is great.
And that's
a good way to do it.
Yeah. I don't have to do that much advertising because it's all word of mouth. Because it's like people, they'll always ask other people who moved, what their experience is with those movers, because, you want those reliable, recommendable companies.
Yeah.
So with me is I always charge in 15-minute segments. So there's a lot that kind of goes into it. I'll break down all of the prices and stuff like that, right? But the main thing of it is I charge in 15-minute segments. So, as soon as we get there, like I'll start typically at 10 o'clock in the morning. I want to avoid that rush hour of us getting to your place as well.
Of course, yeah.
Doing a 1-bedroom is only going to take me maybe 3 or 4 hours anyways, right? So I can avoid all the rush hours if I do it at 2 o'clock or at 10 o'clock. Yeah. Right. And then that's just going to speed up your day as well, right? Because then we're not stuck in traffic going from point A to point B. So I start my clock as soon as we get there, or at 10 o'clock. And then as soon as I close my door, as soon as the last thing comes off that truck, that's when I stop my clock, right? And I'll always go to the closest 15 minutes at that point. So if it takes, 3 hours and 25 minutes, I'm only going to charge you for 3.5 hours. And then, I won't go for that 4th hour. Now, there is an industry standard that a lot of people, most companies do, is we always charge 1 hour of travel time. Essentially what that is that's a half hour to get from my base to where you're located. Yeah. Then at the end of the day, where I'm located, back to the base. You'll find most moving companies will do that. So if you're looking at a job that costs 3 hours and 25 minutes, it will be 3.5 hours plus that 1 hour of travel time. So it'll be 4.5 hours, And then one thing I also do is I do charge, there is a $50 truck reservation fee. Okay. And that's just one of those things, because here's the thing, to make a long story short, is I've worked for a lot of different moving companies, and I've seen how some of these companies run, and it makes me sick. And this is what pushed me to become a mover, right? Is to do my own companies, because I knew I could do a better job at a better price, and I had good people that deserved the work to come and do these jobs. So I wasn't trying to screw anyone over or anything, right? But like a lot of moving companies, they'll just take the booking and they'll, okay, you're booked, blah, 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 but they won't have a truck. They won't have guys. They'll figure that out the day before, maybe the day
that's
of.
how you get those
and that's when I get those calls, It's frustrating because I'm like, do better, guys. Like as a industry, we need to do better. We need to have. Anyway, so that aside, right? So what I'll do is I charge a $50 truck reservation fee, and that guarantees that you have a truck and it will be there at 10 o'clock at the day that we, and that just covers all of the bases and everything like that. I won't put on extra per step or a kilometer charge or a fuel surcharge or, taxes. This is the price per hour, and that's, and that we both know you won't have no hidden costs or anything.
Which is good. So. It's nice and clean, right?
Yes.
So now with moving, especially in Vancouver, Rain City.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have to do a bunch of moves in the rain. Mm-hmm. Do you guys have anything to help sort of make that easier, protect stuff?
Yeah.
You don't want to be moving a leather couch and getting it rained on because it'll look like a cow. So
go back to a cow,
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Right? So what are some of the things you guys do to sort of help deal with the rainy and the 2 weeks of snow that we
it's never, it's some people, they just have the worst luck. It can be sunny all week, and then it's the one day that we need to move.
That's usually me.
If it wasn't for bad luck, you'd have no luck at all. So we'll always wrap your couches anyways. Make sure, we always want to protect things. We want to wrap all of your furniture. The thing is, it might hit a wall. I'm not saying it will hit a wall or anything. We always do policies, right? We always want to make sure that we have a backup plan, right? So a lot of times when we wrap your dresser, it's to protect your dresser, but it's also to protect the walls as we're moving it in and out, right? Because we don't want to damage it. I don't want to pay for it.
Plus it's the strata has their deposit.
Yeah.
We want to get that back.
Yeah, and it's going to be coming through me if they don't get it. So anyway, so we'll always take the time to wrap your couches and everything. Most trucks will be equipped with carpet runners and stuff. Okay. It's just like a rubber mat that goes down hallways and stuff, so we can keep track on that. We always have pads and stuff that we can kind of put down. Some trucks will have little booties that we can put on our shoes. For rainy days, sometimes you just need to stage things a little bit more, right? We'll kind of take off our shoes, we'll go in and we'll stage everything by the door.
Okay, I gotcha.
So it's easier when you have a 3-person crew, because then someone can be dedicated just inside, bringing things to the door, and then you have the 2 people, bringing it to the truck. So then you never kind of have that rain or the different elements.
Just get it going quickly and covered and so on and so forth, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So now you've been at this for quite some time now, doing it for a while.
For 10 years, yeah.
Do you have any strange or memorable, ones you're like, oh, dude, this happened this one time without getting yourself in trouble?
Yeah.
Did you have it? Or we went and you're just like, why does these people have all this stuff? Or any weird ones?
Yeah, it's weird. Yes and no. Like, I think most people that are hiring movers, they kind of understand the process and they're kind of in a position that want movers and they're prepared. Sometimes you walk into jobs that are just like, what's going on here? Like, do you really want me to move this stuff? Sometimes I'll always find it funny, like you'll get like some students and stuff like that, and they'll have like a bunch of IKEA furniture and they want to move it over across town. And IKEA furniture is not the best stuff to move because, it's more or less, you build it and you leave it, right?
Yeah, it sways.
So sometimes you're just like, if you just like threw away all of this and reordered this and did the delivery to your new place, it'd probably be cheaper than hiring movers. Sometimes people just have like, I did this one move. And it's funny because he's like, you're always going to remember me because of all of these shelves, right? And I'm like, ha, ha, ha. But like, here we are talking about it. This guy had shelves all the way around his apartment. Like, it was insane. He had like 50,
every wall.
Yeah, bookshelves. And like, I don't know if he was a collector. I don't know what were on these things. But it was just like, it was one of the most memorable things where I'm just like, wow. Like, he does have a lot of, he filled up 2 trucks with just bookshelves. Like, wow.
That's a lot of shelves.
And this is someone's house that they live in and stuff like that. So I just thought that was always
maybe it's like Dumbledore or something.
Yeah, maybe. You never know. I know I've done I think some of the most memorable things I've done is I've done a few cannabis things, and they had like these massive safes that were just like these closets, and there was 6 of us to move them, and it was the heaviest things.
Oh, sure.
Because it's like when people call me, it's never a flat point A to point B. It's always, we got this thing and there's stairs and blah, 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 blah. And it's this heavy and, so yeah, that's usually when I get the calls.
Speaking of heavy, I know that there's specialization in piano movers. Mm-hmm. Do you guys do that or just that's someone else's?
Yeah.
Don't cut someone else's lawn type of trip, right?
If I can avoid a piano move, I definitely will. Yeah. I'll do it. Yeah, I'll definitely do it. I have the tools. I have piano skids to do it. It's never ideal, but this actually brings me to a good point that I wanted to talk about as well. Is a lot of times when you're calling your mover, I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions, and the reason why is I ask these questions is so that I can have a better understanding of what the job is, and so that I can come properly prepared.
Yeah, that makes sense.
A lot of people, they have this they think by not giving me all the information that they. Because we talk about there's horror stories where people will charge you per step and per kilometer. Yeah, so what they'll try and do is they'll try not to give the movers all the information that we need so that we won't extra charge them for stuff. Yeah. Which is really just doing yourself a disfavor, because if I only have 2 guys, if this is me and this other guy and you need a piano moved up these stairs, I can't do it. Yeah. So I can't do your move now. So you just, wasted your time, our time. Now you have to get someone that come in. I need to bring in a piano skid to do these things, make sure so it's if I'm asking you if there's anything extra heavy, please come forward and tell us, because, and it's the same thing, when I do my pricing schedule, a lot of times I'll do it for a 1-ton truck, 2 guys, right? Yeah. But if you need a 5-ton truck with 3 guys or 4 guys, it's better that you hire that and you get that 5-ton truck, because you're going to save money in the long run. A lot of people go, oh no, I'll just need the bare basics of 2 people and a small truck, and that's at the smallest price, so then it won't be. Well, what's happening now is I'm going to have to do 2 trips because my truck's not big enough. So now that's going to be longer time, and now it's only 2 of us instead of 3 of us, so it's going to take us even longer. And the other thing is we got the job, we have a job tomorrow, we have the job the next day as well, right? So we want to make sure that we're not overdoing ourselves with this job. So we want to make sure that we have the proper manpower and the proper tools to do the thing, right? So it's always be straightforward. If there's some
honesty is the best policy.
It really is. It'll save you a lot more money. It honestly saves you more money. If I need to bring in a bigger truck with an extra guy, you will save more money in the long run than if it was just me and another guy in a 1-ton truck.
Which is a perfect segue to the question we're going to ask. What advice would you give to somebody deciding between whether to hire a mover or doing it themselves? We've all done the pizza beer move.
Yeah.
We're 20.
I've seen there's so many ways that I can go with this question alone, right? Like, if you're looking to save money, then yeah, like rent the U-Haul, get your friends to do it. You know, that's going to be the best thing, right? But like honestly, for just like a couple extra $100, you can have the guy come in with his own truck and his own people and do it properly. Get your job done within 4 hours or 5 hours instead of it being an all day or an all weekend thing and losing a couple friends and then spending so much money on beer and them damaging your products. And you know, that's the other thing is like we make sure that nothing gets damaged or broken on the way, right? Your friends, if they're, you know, it's you want people to be accountable for what they're doing. But like getting off that, it's like I have some people they'll rent the U-Haul and then they'll come to me and they'll rent me and like they'll hire labor. Yeah. And you're not really saving a lot of money that way. Like if I was you, if you're going to be renting your own truck and hiring labor, just rent a moving company. Like just hire the moving company. It's for the money you'll be spending, it's so much worth it. You know, yeah.
That makes sense.
That's my best advice.
And speaking of like ensuring the safety of the items, then I know you touched in on that you have some mats and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. What else do you guys do to ensure, well, to the best of your ability, obviously, certain things you can't account for, you know, car accident or whatever. Yeah. What do you sort of do to ensure that everything will be protected and get there in the same condition it left?
Right. Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing is like I treat it like it's just my own things, right? So I always put the utmost care in it. That aside. We'll properly wrap everything, pad it, you know, make sure it's not going to damage on the way in or way out. Packing a truck there's someone once said, you know, like there's 400 different ways to wash the dishes, right? So like, don't get mad if someone does it the wrong way. But like the thing is, like there might be 400 ways of doing it, but there's only one proper way of doing it, right? And when you're packing a truck, you want to make sure that you're doing it properly. And that's why I say like we do the boxes, then we do the bigger things, and then the patio furniture, and you know, so it's. An experienced mover will know how to pack a truck properly to make sure that nothing's broken, right? Yeah. Your TV, some people have like glass tabletops and stuff like that. You want those professionals that know how to, you know, if you hit a bump, you know, and you have glass through the wrong way, it's just going to shatter. And
what is one of the tricks for that? Because I no longer have glass tabletops because they're a pain in the ass to keep clean. But what is the trick to it? Because when we moved, we did it ourselves, and I was like, did I put it on the couch? I don't know what to do because like it's a thought. Yeah, one shift and smash, and now we don't have a table anymore.
It sucks. It's my biggest stress when I see it. I was like, oh no. Essentially, it's just wrapping it properly. We'll like double wrap it depending on how it is. Yeah. We'll usually put it between two mattresses. We always have it upright like this on its side. Or if it's like this and you hit a bump, now you have like a bigger
surface. Here it is. Hit. I got you.
You know, so that'll break. So it's just kind of like just the preparation and where you're putting it on the truck. Okay. Make sure that like one rule that a lot of movers do is, and it's not so much with 2-man jobs, it's more 3-man or like the 5-ton trucks, but who's ever packing the trucks, you'll always have one dedicated person that packs the truck. Is whoever packs the truck unpacks the truck as well, because
they know everything.
They know where those fragile things. They know if we move this couch, this is going to be right there. So it's, you know, so it's just kind of like small little things like that to ensure that your things arrive at the same location as they were when they. Another thing that like just kind of like making sure that your stuff gets. I don't know how to get into this. Just one of my pieces of advice, right? That because like a lot of people they talk about insurance and wanting to make sure like that their stuff is taken care of, and what a lot of people don't realize that if you have like renter's insurance or tenant's insurance, is you can actually call them and be like, hey, I'm moving from point A to point B, blah 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 blah, and you can get your stuff extra insured from while it's.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a tip, man.
So this is something that, like, if you're really concerned about, like, and I'll go through everything and, like, we can work through, but if you're really concerned about something, you know, just call up your tenants and your renter's insurance and explain, hey, I'm doing a move. And, you know.
Actually, I did not know that existed.
There you go.
That's a super good tip, man. Do you think, like, with Vancouver, it's sort of a different place with our weather changing and just various things and areas and all that? Is there any, like, unique issues that come up here than other places that you can think of?
I think we live in a place where there's not a lot of real estate left, right? So everybody's building up instead of out, right? Yeah. Whereas you go to Alberta, they still have a lot of property that they can.
Sprawl for
so time, So I think the biggest challenges that we get right now is just kind of like booking elevators. There's like those small alleys to like get in trucks and stuff like that, right? So it's just, I think that's the most unique thing is just booking elevators, making sure that the elevators are like the service elevators. You'll find that most apartment buildings, they'll have two elevators. One always has a much higher roof. Those are moving elevators so that you can like get a couch in, because the couch isn't going to go lengthwise. You got to go up, right? And you need that extra. So it's just kind of like talking to the building managers or the property managers that you have that elevator reserved.
Yeah, to make sure you got the correct one.
Yeah, make sure you have the correct one. Make sure that you can actually use it. You know, some of these buildings, they only have, you have like these 3-story walk-ups or 4-story walk-ups, and like sometimes you'll have like an elevator, but they won't reserve it for you just because people are using it throughout the day. So that's always the biggest challenge.
Yeah, especially the older ones that only have one elevator. Right?
Yeah, so you're like staging everything outside the elevator and quickly doing 1 or 2 trips, and it's and the elevator's making a noise and it's slowly closing, and you're just like, oh my goodness, just give me the key. I'll only be an hour. I'll work with the tenants.
With Vancouver being such a competitive housing market, like, I mean, everybody's an expert in real estate in Vancouver, apparently. Right. But do you see moving companies being more involved, like with the stress? Like, it seems like a lot more people are moving. We always have more people coming to Vancouver. Do you think that that's going to play into that at all, or do you see it again on the uprise, I guess?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's such a good question. I think, I don't know how to answer that.
That's fine.
I guess,
no problems.
I guess kind of like what I'm thinking about with this question myself is kind of like, I find for myself, okay. Like I said earlier, right? Like when you move, you want to talk to your friends, you want to talk to your real estate agents, you want to see about if people have good relationships with other movers and stuff like that. Like, because that's where I get the majority of my business from. So like, talk to your property manager, see if there's a moving company that does that building regularly, right?
Yeah, because they will know for sure.
And you build up those relationships with different things, and you understand the process of how things work. Both like the property understands how the moving works, or like, and we understand how if there's any kind of rules or with elevators or whatnot. So I think that's always the good thing is like find out those different companies that know the different good moving companies to work with.
Yeah, that's
like, for myself, that's how I try and like get the most thing is finding different realtors to work with, finding different buildings to work with, right? So they say, yeah, no, use Jordan's Pro Movers. We've used them before. They're great. They won't give you no hassles.
Yeah.
Because that's really what people want to hear is, they'll give you no hassles. They're straightforward.
No hassles are good.
Right? That's what I look for, right?
Moving's already a hassle.
Like I have high anxiety. So like those are the questions that I'm always asking myself.
So for people who are packing those boxes, like you said, are there any tips that you would have for how to pack properly? I mean, most people I know, they wrap the cups in a newspaper or whatever. Is there any other one sort of like outside the box type of things for packing a box, oddly enough? Like just sort of tips that you would suggest for, making it the most sense, packing evenly, whatever the...
Cool, yeah, no, that's great.
Packing the box.
I think a good rule of thumb is always less is more. Don't try and put all of your heavy things in one box or one heavy box. It's just going to create more problems. Okay. If you have a lot of books, a lot of times if you go to like U-Haul or Home Depot, they'll put like little notes on the box. This box is perfect for books. This box is best for lamps, and kind of go with those guidelines, right? So like just use the smaller boxes for books, but like even it out a little bit, right? Like don't put all of your heavy things in one thing. Put a couple pillows in there and something heavy, right? Because it's like I said, like we're doing this every single day, right? Yeah. So if you're making our job a lot easier, if we're dying picking up one box, we're going to need to take a small break after that, right? But if you have 4 boxes that are not as heavy, that's easy for me. I'll put on dolly, boom, 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 and it'll speed things up. So it's just kind of like, don't go too crazy with the boxes. Don't try and get everything in one box. That's not going to speed things up. It's going to make it a lot more difficult for us. And, so.
When people are moving into places as well, do they inadvertently pack things badly like I did? For instance, like I recall that we got to our new place and I'm like, oh shit, the place doesn't have toilet paper right now because no one lives there. You know what I mean? So I guess, is there a certain box that you should make sure that as a person who's moving in, have a box with at least these select say 5 items?
Yeah, no, that's great. I think most people, they'll have a couple things that they'll put off to the side. They'll have like a change of clothes. Sometimes people can't make their beds, or whatever the case is. They're going to spend a night at a hotel instead, or so they'll have like all their toiletries ready, a change of clothes, some work stuff. A lot of times people keep their laptops and stuff aside. But yeah, like you'll always get moves where people, usually in the kitchen counters, they'll put all of the stuff that they don't want moved, or that they'll move themselves on the kitchen counter. So. Okay. But yeah, that's a great idea of like just like toilet paper and stuff. But.
Yeah, because I know I got there, I'm like, oh my god,
what box is it in? Hurry.
Rifling through everything, and now it's a giant stressor.
Yeah, but like also like, I guess like if for smaller prints it's not so bad, but like if you're going to be moving within a month, break those things down a little bit, right? Enough, the stuff that you don't use all the time, pack those things up, and then the week of the move, the day of the move, those are when you should be packing more of the other stuff, right? Yeah, so it's like, come day of the move, you should pretty much have everything packed, ready to go, ready for us at least, right? If we need to come in and disassemble your bed, and we can easily do that at that point.
Yeah, for sure. So what is one of the things that most people don't realize when moving, and it could make their experience less stressful or better? I mean, so far I've gathered time. Yeah. This one, like, don't rush it. Duh. But is there any like in particular that sticks out to you that sort of to remember to make it easier for you, easier for them, easier for, I don't know, dog, whatever. Right?
Yeah, dog. Yeah, it's always nice if you keep your dogs put away or your cats put away. My biggest pet peeve, I think, is like people putting stuff in the way. Okay. If I'm carrying a couch, I'm not really paying attention to what's around me. Like as I'm walking in, I'm kind of mapping everything out and stuff like that. As I'm carrying things, if you put something behind me, I'm not going to see it. If a dog or a cat or a child runs behind me, it's a problem waiting to happen. Yeah. One thing I hate is don't ask me questions while I'm doing something. If I'm carrying something heavy, it's not a good time to ask me a question. You probably won't get the best response at that point. I'll just be like, like kindness goes a long way. Like it's not required, but like some people, they'll have like a couple bottles of water or like an orange or something for us. We'll always have our own drinks and snacks with us anyways, but it's such a nice gesture for us.
Good juju going on, right?
Yeah, and then like, oh, okay. And then, I think it's just good juju, yeah.
Wicked, man. Well, thank you very much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. I'm sure so do all of our listeners and that. Yeah. If they're trying to get a hold of you to book you or ask more questions, how do they find you?
I think the best way right now is to email me at jordansprofessionalmovers@gmail.com. Okay. You can check me out on Facebook, Jordan's Professional Movers as well. Yeah.
Okay, and we'll have all that in the description below. So, thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. And definitely, I know that I definitely learned some things, including that insurance thing. Yeah. So I'm going to pass that on to all my clients.
Excellent. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate that you opened up this time and, able to get these questions across.
Yeah, wicked. Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for tuning in. If you've been last this long, we really appreciate. This has been Bamboo, Vancouver's Property Management and Investment Podcast.